You're listening to What She Said with me, Candace Sampson, and this is your weekly reminder to take up big space in life, laugh loudly, absorb new knowledge, and continue to grow and expand. What She Said is your space for the big conversations that matter and the little joys that make life sweeter. This is where empowerment meets self-care and mansplaining has no seat at the table. So grab a coffee, get comfy, and let's jump into it because life's too short not to embrace the good stuff while we tackle the tough stuff. Most episodes of What She Said are conversations. This one is a reckoning. My guest today is Lusiana Lukman, the executive founding director of the Classical Music Conservatory in Toronto, one of the most respected music educators in this country, and a woman who spent 40 years carrying a secret she never should have had to. When Lusiana was 15 years old, a recent arrival from Jakarta who barely spoke English, she was sexually abused by Boris Berlin, one of the most celebrated piano instructors in Canadian music history. Berlin taught at the Royal Conservatory of Music for over 70 years. His beginner piano books are still used in classrooms today. He received the Order of Canada, and he died in 2001 before anyone in a position of institutional power ever held him to account. When Lusiana reported the abuse to the RCM's Director of Academic Studies, he asked her one question. Did she want a different teacher? That was it. That was the whole conversation. Lusiana, thankfully, kept going. She finished her degrees, built her own school from scratch, raised a family, and taught for 4 decades. And then in February of this year, she went public in the Toronto Star, naming names and started a petition demanding the RCM commission an independent third-party investigation into what happened to her and to the other students. And there are others who were failed by that institution. So before we get into the conversation, a genuine trigger warning. We discuss child sexual abuse, institutional cover-up, and the long aftermath of trauma. If you need to step away, please do. If you stay, here is what I want you to walk away ready to do. Links to Lusiana's petition and to Dear Lara, the documentary by violinist Lara St. John that looks at this pattern of abuse and silence across elite music conservatories around the world are in the show notes waiting for you. Let's hear what she said. Lusiana, thank you so much for joining me today, especially considering this is a very sensitive topic for yourself and for probably some people listening. So maybe a little bit of a trigger warning for people tuning into this episode.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me.
So you came to Canada at 14.
Yes.
From Jakarta alone.
Well, my mom did arrive with me.
Your mom arrived with you, right? She was helping you settle in. And music was your reason for being here. Can you take me back to who that girl was when she arrived and what she understood about what she was stepping into?
I would say, even though at 14, I thought that I knew everything, just as every 14-year-old, I'm sure, thought that way. I really didn't. I did expect that Canada was going to be a better environment, more open and freeing. I had already realized that I was gay, by the way. I know that that's not the topic today, but it was one of also the reasons I left Indonesia, because being gay is still to this day illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already started music when I was 3 years old. My mom was a piano teacher. And I guess expected that the music school here was going to be even better, even more joyful as the music school that I was at in Indonesia, whereby I felt that it was my second home, better than my own parents' home, because the friends weren't asking me about about being gay or anything like that. And yeah, we were just friends and we studied music together. It was very joyful. But yeah, coming here, I was very naive, I would say, and I thought everything was going to be better. I was very optimistic and trusting.
And so you have described music as a refuge from a difficult home life. So in Indonesia. So, and then you arrive in Canada. How did it feel to have that refuge violated in the very place you were going to find it?
I would say now looking back, I can say that it was devastating. I was very disappointed and horrifying when, the molestation and the abuse started happening. It was shocking to me, and I didn't know what to do. And, being touched by an almost 80-year-old man, and the abuse actually started when I was 15, because when I arrived here, I was 14, but my birthday turning 15 was just a month later. So, yeah, I think in the first few weeks or few times that he touched me, I was just frozen. And, from somebody that was supposed to be your mentor and your stepping stone to the next thing as like a career in music. I was in piano performance. As I said, very naive and very optimistic, and it just like cold waters, completely blasted into your whole being. And yeah, just it was just wrong.
You did the right thing, though. You reported this. You reported the abuse to RCM's director of academic studies at the
Uh,
time. And his response was to ask if you wanted a different teacher, which just, I mean, honestly, every woman listening to this is shaking their head. That's just the most
yeah.
ridiculous thing. So when you think about that moment now, what do you want people to understand about what that response did to a 15-year-old girl who had just, by the way, summoned up enormous courage to go forward? And
Let me just go back a little bit. So, because I barely spoke English at 15 when this started, I didn't report it right away. I didn't know what to do. Like, I really barely spoke English, as I had, gotten some friends. One particular good friend urged me to come forward. In fact, I didn't come forward until I was 17. So it had been going on for more than 2 years at that point, because I kept saying, what if I report him and he gets a heart attack and die? Which is, I think, natural for a child. I would say 14, 15-year-old, even 16, you're a child. Your thinking is not like, oh, this is something wrong that this man is doing to me. It's like, oh my God,
right.
he's almost 80. He's going to have a heart attack and die. So when I finally went to, am I allowed to name names here? Okay, yeah, I mean,
That's up
it's
to you.
been in
Your
the
name
my news. Yeah,
is public
it
record.
has been in my newspaper article. So, Dr. Peter Simon was the director of academic studies at that time. So we got an appointment, and my friend, I was lucky enough that my friend actually went with me. So I was not by myself, and it was very, very difficult to try to describe this as, again, a Chinese background. It's not something you talk about. I was young, barely speaking English. I had to describe to him all of the things that Boris Berlin did to me, um, and including like having me jack him off basically at a piano lesson that I was paying. Anyways, so, and then he just did not have any remorse or any like looking like, oh my God, that I can't believe that happened to you. He just took a beat, and then, as if like nothing I said was to any of the sexual assault type of reporting. He just said, so you want to change piano teachers? I'm pretty sure I looked at my friend like thinking like, did I not say anything to him? Like, did something like did we get transformed to another like dimension? Like, he did not acknowledge what I said whatsoever. So
So you carried this though. So after you reported it, you can carry this for
Yeah.
40 years before going public. What was the cost of that silence, and where did it live in your body and in your life?
Even before reporting it, or well, I felt like even though I didn't go public as in like to the newspapers, anytime like people talk about Boris Berlin, I would say, hey, this guy did this to me. Um, but even thinking about going into my piano lesson, which always would have been weekly lesson, I would have stomach ache, diarrhea. I developed IBS, and I just recalled today that actually my menses has stopped. So it was a lot that, again, as a 15 to 17-year-old, brain of mine at that time, I didn't associate any of that as being a taxing thing that is happening to me. It's just something that you were carrying this burden and thinking, oh, yeah, I must be just getting sick.
It was when you were reading about Laura St. John's experience at the Curtis Institute that finally moved
Yeah.
you to act. What was it specifically about her story that broke something open for you?
Um, I want to mention something before that. So it's a two-step process. Basically, in my early 20s, there was a woman who actually also came up to me and asked me if I wanted to join her in her fight in reporting Boris Berlin in particular to the RCM, because she also had suffered some molestation and abuse by him. And at that time in my early 20s, again, I was still relatively new to this country. um, I wasn't ready, so I basically could not join her. Since that time, this person had also passed away now, and I regretted that I didn't say anything or join her in whatever capacity it was going to happen. So she had now passed away about 3 years ago, but when Laura St. John came out with her article, a lot of people have mentioned it and discussed things and said, "Oh, how terrible! It happened to me as well. It happened to me as well." So I also reached out on Facebook. All of this commenting were on Facebook, and I said, "I know how that feels personally." So then Lara St. John actually messaged me, and we started emailing each other. And then I think it took her about 2 months before I was convinced that, yeah, I think I should do this now because it will help other people. It's the nudge of seeing how she's helping other people come out that prompted me to also said, if I could even help just one other person navigate this and get help, it would be worth it.
So it's not a small thing, though, to go public, and you did in a big way. There was an article in the Toronto Star in February of this year. You name names, you describe what happened in detail. What did you need to believe about yourself or about the world before you could come forward and do that?
I've had a lot of therapy, and I do thoroughly believe that I didn't do anything wrong in this case. And I also did have inspired by Giselle Bellico, how she said shame must change sides. That is very impactful. And yeah, hearing also other people's stories and how everybody who's like, it's the victims who are carrying this shame and awfulness and this toxic thing, and knowing that some people who just have done these things, abusers and their perpetrators and their enablers, just get away with it.
Do you feel, I'm going to go a little bit off of our script here, but do you feel there's been a shift in this space? You mentioned Giselle Pellico, shame switching sides. Do you feel that women like yourself and around the world really are feeling empowered in this moment to come forward and to keep going, keep pushing ahead, even though it's very difficult?
I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, I am hopeful that it is what is happening. I do see a little bit of shift that people are talking about things, especially on Facebook and the social media. And it is empowering others and supporting others that I think will continue to make a difference. The system has to change as well. So therefore, if the more people talk about it, and everybody always say, I know women around me who have been a victim. If there's so many women who are victims, how come people don't say, "Oh, I know a rapist," or "I know an abuser"? Like, they must be all around us. So they have to be named and they have to be shamed.
So, what has surprised you most about the response since the article was published?
The support of friends are tremendous, and colleagues.
Friends that didn't know necessarily?
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, my family have been very supportive. My spouse, my kids, my extended family from my spouse side, because none of my families are actually in Canada, and a lot of them. Well, I don't speak with any of my blood family, unfortunately. So, but yeah, um, and I would say like my faith have also, knowing that karma will somehow make things right. The universe does have its own way to balancing itself.
So you appeared then in Lara St. John's documentary Dear Lara,
Yes.
that looks at sexual abuse across elite music conservatories globally.
Yes.
What was it like to tell your story on camera? I mean, I realize we're sitting here talking on camera, but it's a little bit different, I think, and on a little bit larger scale. And how did being part of something larger than your own experience, your sharing experiences, similar, but you're sharing experiences with each
Yeah.
other. Did that change how you understood what happened to you?
I think it would really help that Lara is who she is. I mean, she's just tenacious and doing this to help others. And having known that she is a survivor, made it much easier. I didn't really want to think about the camera. I'm just thinking about talking to her about it and hopefully reaching somebody out there who would be encouraged to talk about their trauma. And yeah, again, I think Lara made a huge difference. And me speaking out and just the way she just does not give up.
Hey, it's Christy from Lululemon. I'm in the office with what's new, and the Breezely collection has definitely caught my eye. If you're like me and want to add some lighter, airy pieces to your wardrobe, this is a great place to start. There's a Breezely tank, shorts, and pants, all in our Swift fabric, which is super lightweight and stretchy. They're flowy staples you can mix and match for a really easy, elevated vibe, whether it's to and from the studio or just for every day. The Breezely collection is in store now, or you can shop online at lululemon.com.
Are your poor communication skills holding you back from being the leader you know you can be? The Master Communicator is a podcast that can help you improve your communication skills in just a few minutes a week. I'm David Tyler, a broadcaster and communication coach, and each week I deliver bite-sized masterclasses for busy leaders like you. Each episode is packed with practical techniques and strategies to help you navigate challenging conversations, delivering impactful messages, and inspire your team. Whether you're looking to enhance your executive presence, build a culture of trust, or simply lead with more confidence, the Master Communicator is your go-to resource. Subscribe now and start your journey to becoming the leader you were meant to be. Transform your communication skills, one episode at a time.
For anyone listening who wants to go deeper into this issue, then Dear Lara is available to seek out. And so what do you hope audiences take away from it beyond your own story specifically?
It's been really eye-opening. And I think the more people know how big of an impact an abuse like this is to the victims and the survivors. And I'm very careful about saying victims and survivors because some people would rather be called victims because they feel the word survivor makes it their responsibility to have survived it.
Mm.
So I would say victims and survivors. But yeah, the impact is that even though one can look all put together and okay, they're carrying something that you don't know about. And occasionally, some days I could just like wake up and be sad and not know what the heck just happened. Like I didn't, you just wake up like knowing that there's some part of you, there's some child of yourself still needing that healing. And as I said, I've been in therapy many, many years, almost all of my life now. And, you don't forget these things. And I have regret of, not, I felt like, why did I put up with it for so long?
Mm.
Right? But I mean, everybody should also forgive themselves for knowing that you can only do so much with what you have at that time. So giving grace to yourself is also very, very important. But yeah, just knowing that it will stay with you forever.
You founded the Classical Music Conservatory in Toronto in 1997 while still completing your graduate degrees. Degrees, by the way, I think we have to make sure we emphasize that plural. So when you think about why you built it the way you built it, how much of that was a direct response to what happened to you at the RCM?
Yeah, I have many reasons, but this definitely is the biggest reason for me to have founded the school, the Classical Music Conservatory on Roncesvalles in 1997, because I knew that we can do better. I mean, music lessons should be a safe and joyful thing for kids, not something you're afraid of, not something you have to distrust. And being a teacher of any kind, it's a noble calling. And it's a trust relationship that has been given to that teacher. And for somebody like Boris Berlin to have taken advantage of me as a child, and I can say allegedly have done this for so many years. Um, he was teaching for 70 years, and I can say that I have spoken to people who have said themselves or their mother have had incidences with Boris Berlin as well throughout the years, like as early as 1948. Like,
My God.
that's just wrong. I mean, he took advantage of children and the vulnerable. So, yeah, I think for us, I have made sure that each of our studio has a camera. We do have a window, a glass window on every single door that cannot be blocked. Like the room that I was in at the RCM actually had a tiny window, but Boris Berlin had put a filing cabinet right next to it. It's a vertical filing cabinet that every time I had a lesson, he would open that door just so that it blocks that window. So nobody can see it. Of course, without any camera, I know at that time it's probably not possible. You know, he just did anything and everything that he wanted to with children.
So you're sharing some sort of physical things that you do for a safe learning environment. Are there other non-negotiables or things that you've made happen so that it is a genuinely safe learning environment?
Yes, I think we earnestly care for our students. We have very good relationships with all of the students. We check in with them, we check in with our teachers monthly, and we oversee, if they are doing exams or what they're planning for. Basically, the standard is, the teachers that we have, not only do we spend quite a bit of time when we're interviewing them and auditioning them. They usually have been introduced to us by somebody else that we know. They have to submit their vulnerable sector check. And we talk to all of the references. And yeah, we get to know the teachers as well as our admins. And again, our standard is if they're not good enough to teach my own children, they wouldn't be at our school.
You mentioned Boris Berlin had enormous power over students because their entire futures, their visa status, their careers, their self-worth, it all ran through his approval.
Yes.
So how do you think about that power now in your own teaching practice? Because just from the position you're in, you wield some power. Are you conscious of that?
Yes, for sure. I have very good relationships with all of our students, especially my own students, and I am very conscious about that relationship being a trust and an honorable one. Like if I was to, say, "Oh, you did great on like an exam," I would ask their parents, like, "Can I like give them a treat to have ice cream or something?" Again, everything is public with permission,
Right.
you know, and everything is out of respect and being appropriate because being a teacher who, unlike public school whereby you will see a teacher for a whole entire year every single day, in lessons one-on-one especially, you might see a teacher for like 5 years every single week. So your relationship with the student and teacher would be an important one in the developing years of your child. So having a safe and a trusted, good adult, mature adult is very, very important. So the caringness, it's like, how would you want your child to be treated? Right? You have to think that way because I'm a parent too, and I've been teaching for now 40 years.
Right.
And I've been a student, so I know all those roles very well, and I just think about how would I want to be treated in the best possible way.
You have a petition. Can you tell me a little bit about this petition?
Yes. So the petition is to ask the RCM, Royal Conservatory of Music of Toronto, to actually do an external third-party investigation that they should disclose publicly as well, because we know that Boris Berlin did this not just to me, but other people as well. And I should say allegedly. This is what has been told to me. And I've also allegedly have heard other teachers at the RCM doing the same. So these kind of things have to be investigated. And and these men should not have been awarded the Order of Canada and the Order of Ontario for Dr. Peter Simon, who should have reported it and did something. Because after me reporting to him, he allowed Boris Berlin to teach it for another 11 years.
So your petition to this point, you're just over 2,000 signatures.
4,777.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa, that's jumped.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. We're gonna link this in the show notes. So Jan Arden has signed it. Yay, Jan. Yeah. But Jonathan Biss resigned from the Glen Gould School over the RCM's handling of this. What do you make of the way this has rippled out beyond your own story now?
He's such an amazing ally because he was like a big get for the RCM because he's quite famous, an amazing teacher and performer, international performer. And he felt that the RCM should, jump at the chance to make this right away. And according to him, he spoke to the authorities at the RCM, meaning like the president and the board probably, and the people who should be looking after these things. And they didn't want to act fast enough are the words that were used by the RCM. So basically, after 2 months of that, he said, "You know what? If you're not doing anything about it, I can't be associated with this kind of school." So good for him. I'm really grateful that he's such a big advocate. And, I feel like everybody should feel that way because, I mean, again, if you have a child and you know that you're in a school that potentially is dangerous to them, you wouldn't want that. And everybody should be getting up and doing something about it. So, yeah. And even Bruce Coburn also signed the petition.
Awesome. These are all good people signing. So
Yeah.
this is good. And we're going to get more good people signing this. So, but you've been candid that you question, and you've sort of touched on it a little bit, that the RCM's investigation is more performative than anything else. So what would a real investigation actually require? And how will you know if it's real, if it
Right.
does proceed in that way?
I would love for them to do it with a third party investigation, like a law firm, or I don't know how these things work, but I hear that it would be a law firm, just like what the Curtis Institute did for Lara St. John's case, and provide the findings of the investigation to public. And if all the people involved should be named, and I would like to see the victims somehow be supported in whatever way that they need to be, because I'm sure there are many over the years. And I would also really like to see that these awards, these really high awards, be rescinded and stripped from Boris Berlin and Dr. Peter Simon and whoever else have been awarded.
Do you know how many people have come forward from the RCM?
I do not. Some people who have told me, I would say I run out of fingers for sure, that have told me on Facebook. And I have told them to speak with Deborah Dundas, who also helped with the article on the Toronto Star.
And at the top of this interview, you were talking about how shame has to switch sides, with Giselle Pellico being an inspiration. That's easy to say, very hard to actually feel. So, how have you done the work of moving shame out of your own body? You mentioned therapy. Do you talk to other survivors? Are there other things you do to sort of push these feelings aside?
Yeah. So for many, many years, I didn't talk to other survivors because people just didn't really talk about it. So I did do a lot of therapy myself. But yeah, lately, a lot of survivors who have come forward and reached out to me personally on Facebook, I do speak with them. Um, Lara and I talk quite a bit. And through her, also other people who have spoken to her, I have gotten in touch with through Lara, and we talk to each other and support each other. And I think having other people who's gone through similar things to you and talking about it, normalizing the fact that it wasn't our fault in any way, is really helpful, because the shame part, and this is why I think Giselle Pellico is such an inspirational uh, model right now, because it is the shame that
Yeah.
people are carrying around. Like, I've spoken to people who said, I feel like I did something, or maybe I shouldn't have worn this, or all the stuff that you hear on TV, and the fear of being put to shame again if they report it, and being questioned all the time. And if you ever get a chance to see the Dear Lara, like, some victims have resorted to committing suicide because the shame is too much.
What kills me about shame is that, oftentimes when this happened, they were children and they're still carrying that shame, which is just something that shouldn't even exist for a child, certainly to carry for decades, honestly.
Yes. But yeah, therapy for sure. Speaking to somebody who you trust, but speaking to a professional is very, very helpful, because obviously, even if you trust somebody, they might not have all the tools to help you.
The odds are good, unfortunately, very good, that somebody listening to this right now has experienced something similar. So, what do you want women listening to this who are carrying something they have never told anyone to understand?
Yeah, please talk to a good therapist. Look for a good therapist. It is a must go to. Get support, report, name, and shame the abuser, the rapist, the pedophile. You can't just keep that quiet, because then they'll do it again Like, it's never just one. So, like, again, shame must change sides because it is not for the victims and survivors to carry. We've been carrying it way too long, way too long. So, name them and shame them. Like, give that away to them because really, we didn't do anything wrong whatsoever. But yeah, reach out.
You said in your Toronto Star piece that music shouldn't make life harder, that it should be a way to heal. So is music healing for you still?
Music is still very, very healing to me, and the teaching of music, teaching in general, but the teaching of music, and showing how music can be intellectual, can be artful, it could be emotional, and that it's something that for children and even adults who just start music lessons is for them to take internally, and it can heal them. It can be a source of not only joy, but sharing that joy to other people. It's not the same when you're just listening to music and liking music, but when you actually get to play the instrument, you're building neurons, highways between both sides of your brain, and all of that adds up to good endorphins for you to be happier. And you discover so many new things about yourself that nothing else would do that. And not to I mean, I have to mention discipline as well, because when practicing music every single day also is like, can be a sense of meditation, and you could take it as learning new tools and new things for yourself, but it can also be like a meditation for you to heal yourself. Music can be very, very healing. You just have to let it.
So I want people who are listening today to obviously sign the petition, but find you, find out more. So can you share where they can find the petition? Tell us a little bit about your school, perhaps, and if there's somewhere on social media or email or somewhere where people can contact you if they would like to reach out.
Okay. So my email address is ll@cmccanada.com. Our website for our music school is simply CMC, like Charlie Mary Charlie, Canada.com. We're very close to Hyde Park. We're on Roncesvalles. Um, my petition is on the change.org. If you just simply look for either my name, Lusiana Lukman, or just RCM petition, I'm sure they'll find it. I can share you the link. It's like all those little codes, so I'll share you the link. And yeah, try to like also watch Dear Lara because it's very eye opening on other victims throughout the world. In fact, yeah, basically, I'd love to see the systemic change that stop all these people to take advantage of children and women when they are in a vulnerable situation. In the noble position as a teacher, it shouldn't be. It's just so wrong.
It is.
So I'd like to see the systemic change in the world.
Lusiana, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure to speak with you, and for you being so open and sharing your story. I am positive that there's one person at least who is going to walk away from this feeling better. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I hope so. And yeah, I am open to having people reach out to me if I can help them get into the resources that they need to. It would be tremendous.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to share it with someone who'd love it too. And don't forget to hit subscribe to What She Said with me, Candace Sampson, on your favorite podcast app. It's the easiest way to stay connected. Want more? Sign up for my newsletter at whatshesaidtalk.com to get all the latest updates, and let's keep the conversation going on social. You can find What She Said on Facebook and Instagram, and you'll find me on Threads, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Candace Said. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.
The world of audio is evolving fast, so much so that it often means video as well. These days, staying ahead isn't an advantage. It is a necessity. I'm Matt Kundle, and every week on the Sound Off podcast, I speak with the people shaping the future of podcast, broadcast, and audio. Whether you're behind the mic, in the production studio, or in the boardroom, this is your weekly look into the trends, talent, and tech driving audio forward. The Sound Off podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and at soundoffpodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Avery Kundle, the declutter queen. If you've ever looked around your home and thought, how did it get like this? You're not alone. But decluttering isn't just about getting rid of stuff. It's about letting go of what's weighing you down, physically, emotionally, and mentally. On the Declutter Queen podcast, I share real-life strategies, honest conversations, and simple systems to help you clear the chaos and create space for what actually matters. No perfection, no pressure, just progress, one drawer, one decision, one mindset shift at a time. So if you're ready to reclaim your space, your time, and your peace of mind, come join me in the kingdom.
The Declutter Queen is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, TrueFans, and at thedeclutterqueen.ca.
Another Sound Off Media Company podcast.